Yo, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Yellow the Poet. And today I am here with Miss Tracy Herbert. Miss Tracy Herbert, she loves helping people, healing and discovering the ways that they can find to find hope, live longer, healthier, and happier lives. Miss Tracy wears many hats. And we are definitely happy to have you here, Miss Tracy. Thank you so much for joining YTP Entertainment. Welcome. Please let us know what you got going on.
Well, gosh, it's so great to be here tonight. I'm so thankful to be on your show. This is going to be awesome. We're going to have so much fun because I can already laughing because your smile, your awesome smile. And so when you smile, everything is better. So thank you for bringing it. And I look forward to spending some time with you, having this fun interview.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So what are some of your current events that you have going on?
Well, I'm working towards another epic adventure, and I want to get to my adventure in a few minutes. So I'm working and training on doing something a little bit different than what I did before. So we'll get into that maybe in a few more minutes, but I'm thinking about doing a long hike.
Awesome.
Yes.
Hey, I noticed I was looking at you did 3,000
527 miles.
bicycle on a
Yes.
bike. That is awesome. I've ridden bikes a long time, but I don't even know how many miles I've ever done.
Well, when you start at the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco and you end up in New York City in the Brooklyn Bridge, it's pretty easy to keep track of how much miles you put on in that time period.
Gracious, that is a long. Was that for bike-a-thons for like a marathon or something like that? Or
Nope, I did it all for myself and by myself. I did it to celebrate, and again, we'll get into that in just a second. Well, I mean, let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's get into it. So at 17 years old, I am
Okay.
lying in a hospital bed fighting for my life. I was in ICU, and the doctor walks in. He puts his hands on his hips, and he says, "Young lady, you're going to be dead in 20 years. You're going to die with horrible complications. You're going to go blind. You'll have your legs amputated,
Oh
and
wow.
you're never going to be able to have any children." I mean, everything he kept saying is, you can't. And as
Right.
he's walking out the ICU room, he says, "You're going to have to learn to give yourself shots several times a day for the rest of your life because there's not a cure." And he left the hospital room.
Wow.
And I'm laying there, and my parents were sitting there with me, and we're all like, "What did he just say?" I mean, I am fighting for my life right this moment. And
Mhm.
he didn't give me any hope. And so the 2.5 weeks, I was actually in the hospital learning how to live with, back then we called it juvenile diabetes, and now it's called type 1 diabetes. I
Mhm.
was learning and talking to everybody I could at the hospital, asking them, what do I need to do? And how could I be healthy? And how could I live a long life? And
Yes.
everybody told me the same thing. You're going to be dead in 20 years. You're going to die with horrible complications. You have to give yourself shots several times a day,
Oh, wow.
and you're never going to be able to have any children. And I'm sitting there going, no, this isn't right. I need hope. I need hope. And that's why I'm so passionate about hope, because without hope, we have nothing. And so as I'm venturing out of the hospital and learning how to live this new life, which back then, all I could pretty much eat that was unlimited was celery. And for a 17-year-old kid, celery is not a whole lot of fun, just saying. So as my friends and I decided we were going to go to a movie at the movie theater, and we walk into the movie theater, and I remember my mom telling me, "Tracy, you can't eat anything." Now, she didn't say it because we didn't have any money or she was being mean. It's just back then we didn't eat things that weren't approved, having diabetes. And you walk into the movie theater, what's the first thing you smell?
Popcorn.
Popcorn. And all my friends were going up and getting popcorn and candy and soft drinks. And when it was my turn, I asked the concession stand clerk for a small cup so I could get a cup of water out of the drinking fountain. Because as a teenager, you don't want to be different than your friends. I wanted something in my hands so I didn't look so weird. And as
Exactly.
adults, we're still the same way.
Mhm.
And the concession stand clerk said, "No." And I said, "Oh, I'll be glad to pay for the cup." And she said, "No." And I ran out of the movie theater, and I'm screaming and I'm crying, "Why me? Why me?" And as I'm
Right.
driving home, I am just bawling. I could not control the sobs. I couldn't control the bitterness that I had in my heart. I couldn't control the depression. And I
Wow.
got in bed that night and my life changed. I said, Tracy, you have two choices. You can either be bitter or you can be better. What are
Mhm.
you going to choose? And at that moment, I said, I'm going to be better. And now, 47 years later, I still live with the same passion of every day. I'm going to learn to be better and I'm going to continue to provide hope for other people. And as I started studying and reading everything I could, I thought, I can do this. I can do this. And I have children, which they didn't think was even possible because I was what they called back then brittle diabetic. I don't use that term because I don't think that's a correct term, but that's just me. Anyway, and so not only do I have children, but I'm a grandmother. And
Yes,
so every decade, after about 20 years of living with diabetes, because by all the experts, I was supposed to be dying or dead, I do
exactly.
something huge to celebrate. And so for my 40th anniversary of my diagnosis, I decided to go for a bicycle ride.
Mm,
And that's when I rode across the United States to celebrate. I was doing it for myself, but then I started realizing so many people in this country
mhm,
needed hope. And so many kids that have the same disease that I have are
mhm.
still being told the same thing, and their parents, you're not going to have a good life expectancy. You're going to die in 20, maybe 25 years. And I'm like, look at this old lady. Now, I don't consider myself old. I'm only 64, but I say, if this old lady can do it, what's stopping you? And so the ride changed from celebrating my life to providing hope and encouragement to people along the way, which totally transitioned my whole way of thinking. So everywhere I went, I would stop and I would try to talk to people and just make up conversation to see what was going on in their lives because I had heard so much, which we all have.
Mhm.
That it's only horrible people in this country. It's horrible or in the world, really. And
True.
I'm like, no, I started believing that stinking thinking. And I'm like, no, Tracy, I had people stopping on the side of the road, giving me water, buying me food,
Mm,
giving me money,
mm,
whatever I needed, they provided for me. And so it transitioned from kind of a bitter woman to thinking about how horrible people are to meeting people that are going to change my life and have changed my life and have made me a stronger person today. And
awesome.
so that's where I started with a bicycle ride. Now, my next adventure is probably going to be doing something a little bit more challenging, maybe because I've always been a long distance bicycler. I have always been. But
Wow.
where my husband and I are thinking about maybe even doing the Camino de Santiago, which is about a 700-mile walk from one part of Spain. I'm sorry, one part of France to the end of the ocean by the ocean in Spain. And I thought about doing that or maybe the Appalachian Trail. I haven't decided exactly what yet, but my husband and I in our 60s just got done with a backpacking trip to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. That's 10 miles straight down. You carry everything with you, your water, your food, your
Yeah.
tent, your sleeping bag, and then you
Yeah.
carry everything back out. And so
Wow.
I'm always like, it's not about your age. It's not about your diagnosis or setbacks because we all have something in our life that keeps
Mhm,
us stuck. And it's
mm,
like, no, do something. And if you don't like it or you're not successful, move forward and try something new.
exactly. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's cool that you mentioned the Appalachians because on my last podcast before yours,
Uh-huh.
th- there was a gentleman who had actually done that. And I
Oh,
was like, wow, that is something. And he is currently in his 70s.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he actually done it probably, I think he said about 3 or 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that is amazing. That is totally amazing. I've
And
never had the
it's if
opportunity.
when you set a goal, it gives you energy. It gives you life. It's more sustaining than sit there saying, oh, I'm just going to watch TV tonight. No, I'm going to plan for my next adventure, which sounds exactly like what your guest was doing.
Yeah, see, and oh my goodness, he had a lot of very intriguing things going for him as well. I was like, wow, the journey that some of the people are on that I've met throughout this podcast, it's been amazing. Man, the beautiful part of it is, although people are encouraged in different ways, the goals, the outcomes still somehow manage to seem the same. The what it gives us internally, what it gives us mentally, and then to see that project off on so many other people around you. It's amazing. It is.
Mhm. I would love to share a story of a lady I met in Sacramento on my bicycle ride. I was sitting there waiting for a light to turn green, and just out of the corner of my eye, I saw somebody standing at a bus stop. And you know how you get that gut feeling? Just get off your bike and go talk to her. So I
Mhm.
walked over and I just started talking to her, and she said, "Well, I wish I could ride my bicycle across the city." And I said, "Well, actually, I'm going to New York City." But she started sharing with me that she was beautiful, beautiful smile, charming personality, and she was so horrified because she couldn't walk around the block to her house. She was waiting for her brother to pick her up.
Wow.
And she was extremely, extremely overweight.
Mhm.
And I started just giving her a couple little bits of advice because I am a health coach.
Mhm.
And I just said, you know, could you do this? I can't. Everything I said was, I can't, I can't.
Wow.
And I said, okay, can you walk to the end of your driveway? And just for a split second, she said, I think I can. And I said, walk to the end of your driveway, rest, and then walk back. And do this several days until you can go nonstop from the end of your driveway back. And then go next door. Just simple little things that we all know. But if you
Yes.
don't have the confidence to do it, you can do it, then you're
Mhm.
not going to do it. And so I started telling her several more things to do. I got a text message from this sweet lady as I was getting close to New York City. And
Uh-huh.
she said, I just have to tell you, I just signed up for my first 5K walk. Y'all,
Oh,
that's 3.1 miles. This is the same lady who couldn't walk 4 houses down to her house.
that
And
is awesome.
so I love that story. And she brought me so much
Yes.
hope in society because it's like, if she can do that, feeling like she couldn't do anything, what's
Mhm.
stopping people, you know, except she was determined because
Yeah.
she was embarrassed and she was horrified that her family had to come pick her up at the bus stop. So that's
Wow.
why I love to tell people, you know, whatever you're struggling with, because like I said earlier, we all struggle with things. I mean, we all do, but
Yeah.
find something that you can do, go slowly, small steps equal big changes. And, you know, I
Indeed.
tell people all the time, if I would have left the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco thinking, man, I got 3,527 miles to go till I get to the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City, I would have been overwhelmed. But every day I got on my bicycle, just like we all did as kids, and I'm going for a bike ride. And that's how
Exactly.
I completed that journey, just day every day, going inch by inch closer to New York City. And
Exactly.
so when we have goals, when we have something that we're really struggling, but we want to do it, break those
Mhm.
goals down and keep moving forward. It's so simple.
Yes,
People
indeed.
make it I think people try to overcomplicate things, you
Yes,
know?
I agree. I totally agree. And you remind me of uh young man. He was always saying, man, I wish I could work out. I wish I knew how to exercise. I wish I could do this. I told him, I said, I gave him a few pointers. And he was like, man, I will never have time to do that. I say, well, take 3 minutes out of your day, just three
Mhm,
minutes, and
mhm,
exercise for those 3 minutes. I
mhm,
guarantee you, by the time you do that enough times, it's going to make
mhm.
you want more, constantly want
Yep.
more.
Mhm,
And the gentleman ended up doing it, and he was doing it so much that he ended up, for the first time in his life, signing up for a membership. I think it was Planet Fitness that he signed up for the membership, but
mhm,
he finally started doing more and more working out and taking better care of himself. So
mhm. And that's what it's all about. Small steps equal big changes. You hear me say that a lot today already, and you're going to hear me say it again and again because people are overwhelmed. But like you said, just 3 minutes. We
yeah,
all have 3 minutes, right? I
yeah,
mean, We all watch TV, walk in place if you have to, run in place, lift weights while you're watching TV. Can't
Right.
afford it? Get a milk carton and fill it up with water and lift weights. I mean, it's so simple to find little things you can do that people don't even realize that they can do it. They get stuck in that, what I call stinking thinking, just like
Yeah.
your friend was.
This guy encouraged me to work out because we would see him. I was a little boy. We would see him working out every day in the park. The park was literally across the street from where we resided, and he never used weights. And the dude was like real stocky and cut up and buff like no
Mm-hmm.
other. And the
Mm-hmm.
guy said, I asked him. He was like, I never use weights. He always had this thick stick and 2 5-gallon buckets, and
Mm-hmm.
he put water in them for ever
Mm-hmm.
how much he wanted to lift at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
when it came down to it, he would even put 2 buckets on each side, but he never used weights, and he
Mm-hmm.
worked out with water.
Yeah, yep. And it's things that, and like I say, it's things anybody can afford. From people that are really, struggling financially to people that are multimillionaires. We all
Yeah,
have water. We all have access to water and buckets. I mean, and sticks. I mean, it's so simple to do little things like that. That's a great example, and that's why you are where you are today, by seeing him doing that when he was older and you were younger.
yes. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. That was super awesome.
Well, so many people ask me, especially people in the medical community,
Mhm.
doctors, everybody I meet. The first question they ask me is, how are you alive and what are you still doing? Because I'm still on insulin and I will be until the day I die or until there's a cure. And I'm still believing in a cure. But
Mhm.
it goes back to, I started writing my first book, and my doctor encouraged me to write it because he said, you got to get your message out there for people to understand. And so I started writing it because, when you sit down on a clean slate, you just start typing and you start thinking of different things. And
Brainstorm.
and then I started seeing the same trends, and it all boils down to what I call my 3M formula. And if you don't hear anything else today, y'all, listen to this though, because this will transform your life.
Yes.
Mind. You have to have the right mindset and believe that you can achieve what you want to achieve. Is
Mhm.
expect setbacks because you will have setbacks, which we all do. But
Mhm.
then how can I overcome that challenge? And then mouth, learn to eat to live, don't
Yeah.
live to eat, and
Yeah.
move, just like we were just talking about. Get off our chairs and move more. And those were the three things. Again, it's not a rocket science. It's just simple things every day. You make a choice. I'm a firm believer in choices. Do I
Mhm.
want to sit and binge watch all night TV? Or do I want to go for a walk? Some nights we all want to binge watch, but try to do more walks than the evening. Or do I want this apple or do I want this donut? Do I
Yes.
want to, do I want to believe that I can't do it? Or do you
Yes.
think I'm going to listen to a podcast like yours that's
Yeah.
encouraging and positive? They'll say, "Oh, I can do this."
Yes,
And
indeed.
it's so simple, but we try to overcomplicate things. Don't you agree?
I totally agree with that. Totally. So tell us, what are some of the things that you eat that are beneficial to longevity?
Okay. Now, this is going to surprise a lot of people, but people around the world do this more so than we do in the United States. Is
Mhm.
a lot of times I eat a salad and some leftover protein. And I
Yes.
put a little bit of avocado in my salad. I put a little bit of, I'd use olive oil, a lot of olive oil, and then some lean, healthy protein, and that's what I do. And if you think about it, and I used to follow what they considered the healthy diet for diabetics.
Yes.
And I would eat it, and then my blood sugar would go high, and then I would drop. And
Mhm.
people with or without diabetes have that same thing. You eat pasta or pizza or whatever, donuts, like we talked about, and you
Mhm.
go up here, everybody does, and then you crash. But when you crash, that's when you lose your self control to eat the right kinds of foods, to exercise, and so forth. And so I'm a firm believer in salads because it helps me to feel better.
Mhm.
When you eat those kind of meals and you're lethargic in the afternoon, you're not going to accomplish anything.
That's
And so
true.
I eat like I said, a lot of salads. I eat berries. I eat a lot of blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, because they don't spike your blood sugar as quickly. They do spike your blood sugar, but not as quickly, which means it's lower glycemic, which
Yes.
people, the more lower glycemic foods you can eat, not only does it help with weight loss, it helps with your blood sugar. It helps with energy like you wouldn't believe. That's why people always ask me, how do you have more energy now? And I'm like, hey, I can do anything in my mid 60s versus when in my 30s, because I didn't have this knowledge in my 30s. I
Yeah.
use myself as a guinea pig, and so I'm sure you do too. And
Yes, I
okay,
do.
I'll eat this healthy thing. I'm allergic to spinach. Who would have thought spinach is so healthy? I'm
My
allergic to it.
favorite.
I know. Anyway, it's crazy, but so it doesn't work for me, but it works for you and other people. So
Uh-huh.
find what works best for you. And I'm a firm believer in keeping a food journal, and not just a food journal for like a week. It's not for the rest of your life, but what you ate, how much water you drink, because oftentimes we think we're hungry, but we're dehydrated. And then you write those things down, how much sleep you got. Again, food, water, exercise, and then the stress level.
Mhm.
And then write down the next morning how you felt. Or I say write down. You obviously people use apps. I still say write down because that's just what I say. But keep
Yes.
all of that together, and then you start noticing a trend. So
Mhm.
if you have a snack in the evening, more than likely, you're probably not going to eat as well, especially if you have a big meal. So
Mhm.
if you can cut back, I usually cut back eating at 6 o'clock at night, 6:30. And then I don't eat till about 10:30 or 11. But
Mhm.
now I know I have diabetes and that's not recommended, but it works for me because I'm very regiment with my diet and my insulin levels. And
Yes.
so most people don't do that, but especially with type 1, but it works so well for me. And then again, I have those blood sugar levels that are flatlined, which is good when you have diabetes, but not good in the hospital. You don't want to be flatlined in the hospital. But it's just think, but you got to know what works for you. And so
Yes.
when I started realizing every day I'm eating spinach, but then some days I was eating arugula and romaine, and I thought, I'm not feeling bad at all. I have energy. And then I
Mm.
started realizing it. Then I got tested, and yep, sure enough, I was a crazy person allergic to, to spinach. But I
Wow.
do, I eat a lot of avocados. Yeah, they're fat, but they're good, healthy fats. Fat got a bad reputation.
Yes,
I'm
it does.
telling you, bad reputation. But I do eat, but when I say I eat fat, I eat almonds, I eat, walnuts, I
Mhm.
eat avocados, not in abundance, but I like crunchy. And I tell you one thing, reaching for almonds versus a bag of potato chips is a lot healthier. Am I right?
Yes, it is. Definitely. Definitely. And I tell you too, my mom's also a diabetic, and I've encouraged my mom to eat more green vegetables because they have a large source of vitamin J and vitamin
Mhm,
K, which is
mhm,
important for anybody who has
mm,
diabetes. I
right.
started doing a lot of research on diabetes
Mhm,
after my grandmother had passed away, because my grandma was also a diabetic, and there was certain things that she would eat, certain things that she wouldn't eat. And
mhm,
I'm pretty sure that her method was a pretty old school method versus what we're learning today,
mhm,
but it worked for her.
mhm,
She lived to be 74 years old, so it was working.
mhm.
What can I
That's
say?
exactly right.
It just made me, after my grandmother passed away, it made me really want to learn more about diabetes, to have an
Mhm,
understanding and to just see what type of advice or what type of help I can even offer people that
mhm.
may not actually study it, but they are just listening to what the doctors are telling them. And I'm sorry, but this may not be a beautiful thing to say, but I'm sorry. A lot of these doctors are just out here to make money. They're not really trying to help you heal.
That's Yep, 100% true. And oftentimes they just don't have enough time to research, the healthy foods to eat and what to do. That's why my doctor insisted I write my first book, because he said, you got to get it out there. Because if you would see my blood work, which is called A1C, I'm not gonna get into all that detail, but it looks like I don't have diabetes. Although I do because I take insulin, but I'm just saying I'm so well controlled because of the fact of what I eat and the kind of exercise I do. It's the whole thing, mind, mouth, and move, because together they all work. If you don't have the right mindset, we're going to binge watch TV and then grab a bag of chips or cookies or whatever the the snack of the day is. And
Yeah.
that's why you have to have the right mindset. It all starts with the mind. And one thing you mentioned about your mother, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV, but diabetics are usually low in vitamin D. And so vitamin D levels for everybody, in my opinion, should be checked, but especially for people with prediabetes or diabetes, because oftentimes, especially with prediabetes, if your doctor starts giving you vitamin D supplement recommendations, oftentimes that's all you need to do at the beginning, because you want to do everything you can to avoid getting on diabetic medication for
Yeah.
sure, because it's not good for you. It's hard to manage and it's very expensive. Just think of
Mhm.
the economics alone. That's why
Yes.
you really want to be careful with that. But when as I speak all the time on, and when I got off one of the days, as a lead an event planner asked me, when I finished speaking, she asked me to come to a heart association meeting. And I said, oh, I'll be glad to. And I said, are you sure? And she said, everything you said is exactly what we say with the heart association people. And
Wow.
then I sold out of my book. The first time I ever went to a speaking event and I sold out of all my books was
Wow.
at a heart association meeting. And I was like, huh. And then I've spoken at cancer association meetings, because it all goes back. So people say, well, I don't have diabetes, so that I don't have to do this. But it's like, no, it's nothing to do with diabetes. It's about your overall health. And
Exactly.
who doesn't want more energy? Again, I laugh at our kids, because our kids are like, we can't even keep up with you, and
Yes.
and my oldest grandson, he says, if Mimi's involved, we're going to be active. And they all laugh. I mean, because there's no sitting around on this, because if you sit, you rust, and I'm not rusting anytime soon.
No way, no, no, thank you. And
Mhm,
I work out quite a bit. I've ended up gaining some weight due to COVID, and then
mhm,
after COVID, I kind of lost the weight, and then I ended up gaining weight due to the flu. I was losing weight, and then next thing you know, I started gaining it. But
mhm.
I'm definitely working it out, because I am not gonna sit back and just take this and say, hey, this is all I got. So might as well give it up. No,
Yep,
that'll never
yep.
happen.
And then you just
So
get better and better and stronger and stronger. But don't beat
exactly.
yourself up. I think we all gained weight. We all just kind of lost control with COVID. Fear, fitness centers were closed. I mean, everything that we thought we needed, which we did, sunshine, you can't go to the beach, you can't do anything. So we all learned, I mean, we're not beating anybody up, because nobody had ever been through something like this before.
That's
But
true.
it's good but what's so exciting and impressive about you is you didn't wait. You said, okay, now I need to start taking action. You didn't say, oh, 20 years from now, oh, I wish I'd have taken action.
Nah, I couldn't. And then it's so funny because my one of my brothers, he's incarcerated. He ended up catching COVID, and he
Mm,
said that he encouraged his entire group that was in the same cell with him to
mhm,
work out. And everybody, no one had enough energy to work out as hard as they would normally do, but everybody was actually working out, and they all overcame it and never let anybody else come into that cell that would have um, COVID, because they tried to put another person in there, and everybody voted against it. And even the warden said, let them have what they want, because they work hard for
Wow, that's fantastic. That's
it.
that's that's a true story. I mean, that's so important to know. I mean, because again, without hope, we have nothing. And so many of us were worried and concerned and kind of wanted to give up, because it's like life is over. It's not over. It's just a little hiccup in the road, is what I like to call it.
Yes, yes, indeed. I agree. I say the same thing, a little hiccup in the road. So tell us also, what are some of the key things to help us stay motivated once we get started? Because some people will get started and then they'll stop. So what are
Mhm.
some of the key things that actually help you stay motivated?
The first and most important thing is set one goal, just one goal. It may be, I want to lose 5 pounds in the next 3 months, or I want to lose 10 pounds in the next year, whatever that number is. Don't say, I want to lose weight. I want to lose X number of weight in X number of time. Make it difficult, but not where you can't reach that goal.
Mhm.
And then when you get to that point, then you break down that goal into smaller goals. No different than riding my bicycle from New York or San Francisco to New York. You know,
Mhm.
every day I had to get on my bike and ride. Same thing with weight loss. Same thing with this lady who did a 5K, who signed up for a 5K, who couldn't even walk 4 houses down. So
Yes.
find a goal, break it down, and then keep yourself motivated by listening to positive podcasts just like yours, you know,
Mhm.
listening to positive music, whatever. You know, I'm a firm believer in podcast. I think podcasts are changing the world because
Yeah.
so many people put messages out there that we wouldn't even hear now. You know,
Yeah.
you can listen to TED Talks. I mean, there's YouTube. I mean, there's so many things that you can do, but you have to stay positive. I read every morning some positive stuff, a positive book, whatever that looks like. I
Mhm.
read every morning, and then I listen to something while I'm getting ready. It's always something positive. And people say, well, Tracy, why is it always positive? Because if I don't stay in the positive thinking world, then I start realizing, oh no, something bad's going to happen, or what's going to happen next, you know, the economy, you know, whatever, my
Mhm.
health. And so you stay focused on that. When you have set your goal, you break them down into smaller goals, listen to positive, influential people, and then also get plenty of sleep. Because when we don't sleep well, we
Mhm.
stay up too late, or we don't sleep well, we get up in the middle of the night. Then
Yeah.
what happens is we get distracted during the day. We're tired, we're lethargic. More than likely, we'll probably reach for candy or cookies or whatever. I say we, I don't, but that's just what a lot of people do. And I don't like to beat people up for it, you know. But then when you get to the point where you're sleeping better and you're eating right, you have your goals set, then how do you stay motivated? The best thing in the world is having somebody in your support team. You know, it may be your best friend, it may be a parent, it may be a spouse, it may be a sibling. Find somebody, but not just somebody that's going to say, okay, whatever, whatever. You want that person to be like-minded with you, but
Mhm.
somebody who might text you at 5:30 in the morning or whatever time that would be and say, hey, have you gone to work out yet? Or are you up going to work out? You know,
Yeah.
those kind of things. Or what did you have for breakfast today? But
Yeah.
make sure that person is encouraging and not somebody who's going to beat you up, because we don't need somebody to beat us up. We need people to encourage us and help us take control of our lives. And
Right.
then reduce stress. And stress is so important because when we start getting stressed, we start thinking, oh no, back to the mindset, we can't do it. So those are the things that I highly recommend. Drink lots of water. I don't go anywhere without my water. I drink water. There you go. I drink water all the time because water is, we need water obviously to survive. But once you have once you drink the water, you start feeling a different feeling. Am I right? You just
That's
start
so
thinking, wow, wow.
that is
You
so
know,
true.
people would reach for soft drinks or coffee, extra coffee and things like that. No caffeine whatsoever after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't even drink caffeine because caffeine was controlling me. I
Mhm.
was drinking coffee and I needed my coffee in the morning more than anything else. And I thought, that's it, Tracy, no more coffee or no more caffeine. So then I thought, okay, now I'm going to drink decaf. So now I don't have that I need, because it was controlling me and I wasn't controlling my coffee. And so just simple things like that will really help you stay positive and motivated. But I think out of everything I said, though, having a right support group of people with you, a person, you know, going to the gym, you know, something like that. And
Yes.
finding that core group of people. Number one, if you can find one person, especially one person who will make those phone calls and
Mhm.
just motivate you to work out. And then have a weekly check-in, you know, say, hey, how'd you do this week? Man, I bombed. Or send a text message saying, hey, I had pizza for lunch, or I had hamburgers or whatever. I don't know. I don't eat that kind of stuff, but you know, I do sometimes. I'm not perfect. None of us are, but you know, or I ate cookies instead of my fruit this afternoon, or I had an apple and good for me, but then I had a bag of cookies at night because I was so proud of my eating an apple, you know. And so those kind of things really will impact not only you staying motivated, but your longevity. Because as you mentioned earlier, though, you know, we all have a few things we need to work on. And if you start it now, you know, isn't it much better to start on your health now than waiting before you're
Yes.
lying in a hospital bed fighting
Indeed.
for your life. I
Yes.
mean, it's so much easier and it's so much cheaper to do
Yeah.
things now than waiting until something happens because eventually age catches up with us. I mean, it does,
That's
but
true.
you can age well or you can age like an old person. And I laugh and I say, I I like rocking chairs on the front porch. That's not for me. I'm going to be doing the Appalachian Trail or the Camino de Santiago or backpacking to the bottom of Grand Canyon again.
Hey, you know what? I'll be one of those people that I have a rocking chair, but all I do is just keep doing it like this just to see it rock back.
Yes. Yes, that's
That,
funny.
that's about the most use that chair is going to get, besides my grandchildren playing in it.
Yes, yes. That's exactly right. Yes. And, find activities you enjoy. If you like sitting in a rocking chair, make it a priority to spend some time in the mornings or the afternoons or evenings and just sit and rock for a few minutes. But we just don't want to plant ourselves in the rocking chair for the
Exactly.
rest of our lives.
That's true. That's so true. I want to add something to what you were just talking about because I feel like that is so important. You say people ask, why do you always choose positive? When you think about positive, because I majored in psychology for 4 years in college, so
I
I
did too.
get where you're going. So one of the things about positive is a lot of people don't understand that when you do mostly everything with that positive mindset, it prepares you for other things. It may not seem like it does, but just imagine being in a situation to whereas you just did, because I do affirmations too. So
Mhm,
just
mhm.
just imagine being in a situation where you just did an affirmation and then somebody come along and say, hey, man, I don't like this person. I don't like that person. Instead of you joining in on what they don't like, you have something positive to change the narrative as to why this person do or don't like that person. And then when you express that to them, then a lot of times they change their mind like, man, I guess I was kind of, tripping. I really didn't understand the person before I start saying I do or don't like them.
Mhm.
So just having that positive mindset or just constantly surrounding yourself with positivity, it can change a lot of things, not only for you, but also for the people that come into your circle or people that you just walk by. You never know.
Mhm.
You can change something about those people. So positive is a good thing.
Absolutely. And studies show that people that are more positive outlive people that are negative. I mean, so if nothing else, if you want to live a longer, healthier life, be positive.
Exactly. And then the other thing too that you mentioned about sometimes people want to eat something late at night. One of the
Mhm,
things that I've always, well, not always, but one of the things that I've started just recently, about maybe 2 years ago, I started this. If I wake up late night, because a lot of times I have poems or thoughts that wake me up and I got to write it down, hurry up and
mhm,
write it down before I forget it.
mhm,
So when I have those things, sometimes I feel myself feeling like I'm a little bit hungry. I grab a fruit or I grab a vegetable and I
mhm,
eat a little bit of it, not even eat the whole thing. I'll just eat a little bit of it just to take my mind off of feeling like I'm hungry. Because I
mhm,
don't feel like I'm actually hungry. I just feel like my body just wanted something to snack on. And I
mhm,
grab that little piece. Like if I
mhm,
had an orange, I'll probably eat half of it and then I
mhm.
put the rest of it up. And when I get up in the morning, I eat the rest of it before I eat my breakfast because I like to have fruit before and after whatever I eat.
Mhm.
So, and
Very good.
it helps. It helps a lot. It really does.
And it
So
works for you. And that's what's important. You're not doing something that I say, do this because it's not going to work for you. So that's perfect.
exactly.
I'm a snacker on broccoli. I love broccoli. So I have a bunch of cut up broccoli because if you notice, I'm always talking about I like to chew on things, chomp, chomp, chomp. I used
Uh,
to love potato chips, and so I made my switch to eating healthier. And
right.
so now I can eat broccoli, and I'm like, okay, I'm happy. Just a couple of little heads of broccoli, and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
And see another thing too, like in my situation, I have food allergies. A lot of people
Mhm,
can't eat pork, a lot of people can eat
mhm.
beef, but I can't eat either one.
Oh wow.
And that's due to my food allergies. And
Mm-hmm.
trust and believe, a lot of people say, you don't know what you're missing. I say, oh, yeah, I actually do. I know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I'm missing. I'm missing dying early
Mm-hmm.
rather than living a long life. I know exactly what I'm missing. Sure, no problem. You're concerned with taste. I'm concerned with life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So do you practice eating? Are you like a vegetarian? Is that how you eat?
No, I eat chicken, I eat
Okay.
foods, I eat those types of things, but the part that I'm most cautious about is, am I eating it fresh or am I eating it prepackaged?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not big on prepackaged things. I'm more
Mm-hmm.
get it fresh or else just leave it alone.
Mm. Absolutely. I always say stay away from processed foods as much as
Yes.
possible. And
Yes.
I'm sure you're like me. None of us are perfect, and every once in a while you have to just out of being around
Yeah.
other people or necessity or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's not your everyday thing, and that's what's important.
Not at all. Definitely not an everyday thing for that. No, they can have
Mhm. Yes,
that.
yes.
So,
And if you eat something that you're allergic to, oftentimes it causes inflammation in the body, and inflammation causes disease. Inflammation causes early death. Inflammation is good, a small amount of inflammation that our body needs to repair tissues and stuff like that, but not
yeah,
a lot like what you're, like what I was talking about.
exactly. So, one of the other things that I was um, curious about, you spoke on longevity codes. What would be
Mhm.
some of the longevity codes that some of our audience could take advantage of?
Just the codes is breaking it all down. You're like a detective. You want to you if you want to live a longer, healthier, happier life, do this. So what you want to do is find what works best for you, like we've been talking about throughout this time, is,
Mhm.
because if it works well for you, it's going to help you decipher the code.
Okay.
If again, if you don't like to ride bicycles, then you're not going to want to ride your bicycle across the United States. If you
Right.
like to ride bicycles, you may want to just ride around your neighborhood, which is what you want to do. But if somebody tells me go out and swim laps, I'm not going to do it because I don't like to swim. So you
Right.
find what works best for you, and then you're going to do it over and over again. And that's kind of what the codes is all longevity codes is all about, is
Mhm.
decoding, but more importantly, finding out what works best for you,
Mhm.
because we're all different, we're all unique, and
Yeah.
it's not a cookie cutter approach. It's breaking things down to find out what works best for you, and that's decoding. So that's what longevity codes is all about, is just decoding the health plan for you and figuring out what works best for you.
Exactly. So, what is your personalized coaching program, and what are some of the things that people can benefit from your program?
Well, I offer, excuse me, I offer one-on-one coaching, and I do it for 3 months at a time, because I don't, I mean, I do offer, let me explain this though. I do offer a free strategy call for any of your listeners or viewers, because my goal is to help people get healthy. So all that is a 45-minute call where I give you at least 3 things you can walk away with after that call that you can start changing immediately without not work, I mean, without working with me, but just things you can do at your own house. But then
Mhm.
I offer also, like I said, a one-on-one 3-month coaching program. And that gets into so much detail. We really dig deep and find out what's the why. Why do you want to do this? What is your action? What have you done in the past that's worked? What have you not done that hasn't worked, or what would you like to do? So it's all about I'm a big question. I ask lots of questions, and people think, why are you asking so many questions? Because again, it's not a cookie cutter approach. So after 3 months, you're more than likely going to be able to do things very successfully. And then if not, then we'll keep going, and we'll keep going, and we'll keep going. And you don't even pay for that. That's what's so unusual is my coaching program is I guarantee within 3 months, you're going to have it worked out in your own life. And if not, then we'll keep working together until you do get it. That's
Exactly.
so that's where I'm unique, because my goal is really to transform the world on health, but just
Mhm.
one person at a time. Because when you take somebody and you help that one person. Imagine the ripple effect, just like your brother you were talking about, being incarcerated. Look what he was able to do in his unit, that kind of thing. Just what you're doing, your podcast reaches more and more people. So you find one person and then you help that one person, and then the ripple effect with their families, their kids, the future generations. And that's what it's all about.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm always so happy to do this podcast with people because one of the things that I most of my people don't even know is that once I post this podcast, right now, my podcast is currently in 15 countries and 2 continents. So it's
Wow.
reaching a lot more people than people can even think that they're
Mhm.
actually getting a chance to see, or people are actually paying attention to these different podcasts. And I love it when I get a guest and the guest has actually seen some of the podcasts. I love it because there was something that drew you to this. And when
Mhm.
it drew you to it, then now you're like, okay, let me see, let me get a shot at it. Let me see what we can do, what type of information we can put out together. And
Mhm.
the beauty of it is so much information goes out to people all over the world. It makes me so happy because my goal is if I can just reach one person per month, then that one person reaches out to other people and it'll be a trickle down effect where we got
Mhm.
people constantly being reached out to. And that's my goal.
That's exactly right. I coached a young lady in Ireland, and she had two flatmates, and they both started taking what I was helping her with, and she was then helping them. And I thought, that's what this is about. Then they were talking about doing their apartment complex and getting those people involved, helping them, just doing this a few things I was helping them do. And so that's what you say. It's, one person, a triple ripple effect around the world, and that's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And when you said it, think about it. When you just said, if I am just trying to help the world one person at a time, the same
Hmm.
thing. It's the same
Hmm.
thing. We have the same common goal in mind, but just two different projects.
Exactly. Exactly. And together we're stronger. That's
Yeah,
what life is all about.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And people have to take that. That is one of the most powerful statements ever created in life. Together,
Hmm.
we're stronger. And
Hmm.
as soon as you understand that we are people, we're not colors, we're not um some negative type of connotations that people can make. We're not any of those other things. We are people.
Yes.
At
Yep.
the end of the day, we're people. You have eyes, ears, nose, hair. Some people don't have hair, but you still get eyes, ears, and nose and a mouth, just like everybody else. You put your clothes on the same way. Some people
Yep.
can't put their clothes on the same way due to some physical, disabilities. But
Hmm.
in all, they still, whoever helps them is still doing it one arm, one leg
Yep.
at a time.
Yep. And we all live on this planet together, you know.
And we all are here to learn from one another. That's one of
Exactly.
the key things that was taught historically that a lot of people don't talk about. We were actually put here not to control one another, but to learn from one another because
Hmm.
everybody has a different style, a different culture, a different way of doing things, different ways of thinking. We were
Hmm.
here to learn from one another and to understand and respect others' points of views.
Yep. That's exactly right. And I don't know where we've come in this world that we don't believe we can learn from other people. We think we know it all because we certainly don't know it all.
No way. No way, no how. I don't think our brains can even hold it all if
No, no. And life wouldn't even be fun. Who wants to know everything? Who doesn't want to be around? I got to meet you. If you hadn't had this podcast, I never would have met you, and my life wouldn't be the same.
that is so true. And I feel like now I can walk away knowing that I've learned something from you because when you stated that most the biggest deficiency is vitamin D and
Mhm.
diabetes. That was one of the things that I haven't came across yet. I've still been doing some studies, but I haven't come across that information yet. And thank you
Mm,
so much, because now I can pass it on to my mom.
mm,
Oh, sorry.
mm.
Yeah, dry throat.
Yes. And that's what, that's what it's all about is, I've been medical researching for 40 years now, just because I
Wow.
needed to live. But then that's what I learned. And so when you start really learning about what works and what doesn't work and what we might be deficient in, it changes your life. That's why I believe that everybody should get blood work done, and not the typical blood work done that the insurance companies pay for, that you get at your annual exam. But what you
Yes.
want to do is go and get extras that ask your doctor, can I get this? Should I get this? This is why I think I need this. Because that's the whole entire map of your body and what's working and what needs to be repaired. And that's why that's when I really started doing that kind of extra research on myself with my blood work. That's
Mhm.
when the light bulb started really going off, thinking, oh, and my doctor was like, I didn't even know this was important. I'm like, this is important because, and that's what I like is I do research only on reputable sources. I don't do snake oil person, drink
Yeah.
this and you're going to lose 20 pounds tomorrow. But when I
Yeah.
use, universities and I use medical journals and stuff, and you start seeing, oh, this would work for this, then you start seeing, oh, okay, that makes sense. So ask, and don't be afraid to go to your doctor, y'all, and say, why am I feeling this way? What test should I take? Why? And do your own research before you go.
Yeah.
Take your list, 25 questions to ask. They're there to help you to take control of your health. Now, they don't want to spend that much time with you. Some don't, some do, but you really need to take your own medical care in your own hands and do
Yeah.
your own research, because I think if I would have listened to all the doctors when I was 17, I don't think you and I would be having this conversation today, because I
So
would thought, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So I might as well just get in the rocking chair like we talked about and just die, no,
yeah,
no.
thank you. No, thank you. I'm glad you didn't take that route. And one of
Yes.
the things that you said that I've always found to be very important is that when you're taking your information that you researched and you explain that information to your doctor, sometimes doctors love those types of patients, because not only are you learning from your doctor, but now your doctor is also learning from you. And that
Mhm.
makes them build the type of relationship where they want to spend more time with you and encourage you to do things that's going to cost you longevity.
Yep, that's exactly right. But you almost need to find a doctor like you do a friend, that's somebody that you could hang out with and be able to feel comfortable to ask questions, and not just somebody that says, "Oh, I'm the doctor, I know everything." You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I tell you, my doctor that I have right now, she is super awesome. Super
Yes.
awesome. I mean, when you go to her and you explain what your symptoms are,
Mhm.
she literally breaks down. Okay, so you're having this, and this, and then she'll ask you, are you also having this too? And it's like, okay, yeah, I've kind of forgot about that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I am
Uh-huh.
having that as well. Because she
Mhm.
like really takes the time out to make sure that she understands exactly what's going on, and she's going to give you the proper treatment to make sure that you actually heal from whatever your problem is.
Yep.
She's awesome.
Good
She's
job. Good job.
yes, indeed. So give us something motivational and positive to take us out.
Okay. All right. The most important thing, whatever you're struggling with, don't ever lose hope, because as long as we have breath, we have a chance, we have hope. And so don't let people tell you you can't, or yourself. So many people say, I can't internally, or other people tell you, well, you can't do that. Say, I can. And even if somebody, you don't feel comfortable, somebody's treating you like you're not, can't do something. If you don't feel comfortable saying, well, yes, I can, then in your mind, 5 times quickly, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Because you got to replace that negative, like we talked about, with positive words and affirmations. And so many of us have internal demons that keep us from achieving what we're supposed to be doing, because we listen to that stinking thinking. So no more stinking thinking, and don't ever lose hope.
Yes, indeed. Please, by all means. That was beautiful. I love it. Thank you so, so much. No more stinking thinking, people. Remember that. We need to have that echoed across the world.
Absolutely. Put it up on your mirror, whatever you need to change your mindset.
Yes, indeed. So, Miss Tracy, please let everybody know where we can actually reach out to you, where we can watch you on social media, or whatever it is that you're doing. How can we actually reach out?
Okay. Best place to go is my website, and that's tracyherbert.com, TracyHerbert.com. And then I have free resources on there to help you take control of your health. I've got links to all my social media, but I'm on all the social media platforms, so you can find me pretty easily, but all in YouTube. But also at the bottom of my homepage of my home. I'm trying to think if my tech team changed it. They didn't. The bottom of my homepage on my website is a quick 3.5 minute bicycle ride recap of my ride across the country. And so that, if nothing else, watch that, because that will give you a little bit of inspiration. It's not about me, but it's about inspiring others to take control. And it is pretty cool that you can see some of the neat shots that I saw along the way. And anyway, so, but free resources, you can get on a call with me, and it's strategy call, free. The only thing it costs you is taking control of your health. And then I could set up, like I said, 3 things. I guarantee you'll walk away after my 45-minute call with you. And it's not going to beat you up, but it's going to encourage you and inspire you to take control of your health.
So this is what Miss Tracy is talking about. I'm going to share my screen in a moment, just so you can actually elaborate a little bit more to show them so they can see this. This is important. I think everybody should actually be able to understand exactly what you're talking about. So,
Okay. There's the free report you can do right there. There's the web. Yes, that's my bicycle ride right there. All you have to do is click on that and you can watch the ride.
and it's at the bottom of her website. I'm going
Correct.
kind of fastly, but kind of fast. But
Go to if you go to the home page, you see on the far left where it says home, go to the home page. It'll be easier.
There you are.
Well, yeah, it all starts with a choice. Yes. Okay, there you go. All right. And then at the very bottom, you can see it.
Okay. This is for there it is. 3,527 miles. Woo! That's a lot.
and then, my books and stuff like that is on there, but it's all about, my goal when I created the website was to take people and inspire them to wherever they are, they can do it. And that's kind of what the website, that is what the website's all about.
Awesome. Awesome. This is amazing. So people, please make sure that you go to Miss Tracy Herbert's website and check out all the wonderful things that she's got going on there. You can't go wrong with the positivity, the power of positivity that's being shown to you. So please take advantage of these opportunities while you can.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Tracy. This has been fun. I love it. You are one wonderful woman. Continue to grow, continue to get more power, and continue to say no to all the negativity.
Absolutely. And you keep smiling. You got a great smile. Love
Thank
your
you so
smile.
much.
You cannot smile. You cannot smile without looking at you. You have to smile when you look at you. You know what I'm trying to say.
Thank you so much. It's been a true blessing. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best and all the success in the entire world. I'm looking forward to getting this out to you so we can share this with more people. Thank you so, so much. It's been a true blessing. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.